For a police are still looking for the person or persons who and a North Texas rapper on New Year's Day.
Big X, the plug, just got exposed for setting up his own homie, ZeeTheWizard, and the proof is so serious that the feds are now digging into the entire situation. Behind that loyal Dallas rapper image, Big X was allegedly pulling strings behind the scenes, setting up moves that led to his own friend losing his life outside a club on New Year's Day. And the way he reacted after his close friend got taken out says everything you need to know. The truth behind what happened to Z is way darker than people ever imagined. We're talking about betrayal, envy, and a setup so cold it'll leave you speechless. We got exclusive info and unseen footage that's about to make you question everything you thought you knew about trust and loyalty in the rap game. And this story is wild. We're diving deep into some real street drama that's been shaking up the Dallas hip-hop scene. This situation's got more twists than a maze, and by the time we're done breaking it down, you'll see how a friendship that seemed unbreakable was actually ready to fall apart at any moment. Before we jump into this crazy story, let's keep it real.
The critical victim is ZeeTheWizard. Sources tell me he was multiple times.
Social media been going wild ever since ZeeTheWizard got caught up in that tragic incident at Pink House, Dallas. Most people thought it was just random club chaos or some kind of accident that went wrong. The big outlets been pushing the idea that it's just another case of young talent gone too soon. But the truth might be way deeper than that. We're about to separate fact from fiction and show you what really went down that night. Because what happened on January 1st, 2026 was way more suspicious than anybody could have guessed. ZeeTheWizard, a rising Dallas rapper, was out celebrating the new year with his close friend, BigXthePlug. But that celebration turned into a night that changed everything forever. We're talking about a 22-year-old artist who had just signed with Future's Free Bands label, finally living out his dream, only to be betrayed by someone he trusted completely. And before anyone jumps to conclusions thinking this was just some random altercation, the details point towards something planned, something that didn't happen by chance. Here's where it gets real messy. That person might have been right next to him in VIP, tossing money, smiling, and acting like everything was all love, while allegedly knowing the chaos that was about to unfold. For those who don't follow the Dallas rap scene, BigXthePlug and ZeeTheWizard were supposed to be brothers, tight like family, which makes this whole thing even more shocking.
For a police are still looking for the person or persons who and a North Texas rapper on New Year's Day. That crime went down in the parking lot of a Dallas gentleman's club on I-35 and Empire Central. In all, 5 people were hit by gunfire. A 25-year-old rap artist known as ZeeTheWizard died days later.
They came up together, part of the same grind, and in public, Big X always showed major love to Z. But behind closed doors, envy was slowly eating away at Big X, and that energy was starting to show. So here's what went down. December 31st, 2025, BigXthePlug had a performance at Pink House, Dallas, the spot's grand opening night. In the hip-hop world, grand openings are big deals. Everyone who's anyone shows up to network, flex, and celebrate their status. Pink House wanted to make a huge statement with that opening, bringing in well-known names to stamp themselves as the new go-to spot in Dallas. But Z's situation was special. He wasn't there as a fan or even a performer. He was Big X's right-hand man, his day-one homie, the one who had his back through it all. According to what people at the scene said, and from what's seen in the footage, Z and Big X pulled up to Pink House together around 2 a.m., looking like the unstoppable duo of Dallas rap. They were in VIP, tossing money, celebrating like they had just leveled up in life, and everything looked perfect from the outside. The vibes were high, the music was booming, and it seemed like they were ready to kick off 2026 in the best way possible. But here's the twist. Things weren't as smooth as they seemed. Behind all the flashing lights and champagne, there was real tension building between them that nobody could see. Word on the street says Big X had been trying to lock Z into a deal with him for months, but Z wasn't feeling it. And that's where the cracks started to show. Z had his own vision, his own path.
Man, they tripping, bro.
And that independent mindset didn't sit right with Big X's strong personality and big ego. People around the scene been whispering that Big X felt like he made Z who he was, like he was the one who gave him his first real chance. So when Z landed that future deal without going through Big X first, it reportedly hit his pride hard, and that tension started to grow day by day. According to eyewitness accounts and live interviews, BigXthePlug, who was a close associate and fellow artist of ZeeTheWizard, was at the club that night, but somehow walked away completely unharmed. That detail had a lot of folks raising eyebrows. Think about it. In a situation where multiple people got caught in the chaos, the one person who didn't get touched just happens to be the same one who had been having issues with the main victim? That's a serious coincidence. In the streets, loyalty means everything. Your word is your bond, and your people come first no matter what. But when money, pride, and power get in the mix, that loyalty can flip fast. The real talk that's got everyone buzzing is what happened inside that club before everything went down, and how Big X's energy that night didn't quite match someone who was caught off guard. Witnesses say Big X and Z were in VIP, tossing money and celebrating, when a group nearby started to feel disrespected. For those who don't know how clubs work, throwing money is usually a sign of showing love to the performers or the spot itself. But if that cash lands near the wrong people, or if someone thinks you're throwing it at them instead of around, that's when things can get tense real quick. Here's where things start getting real suspicious. Instead of Big X stepping up and backing his friend like you'd expect, he suddenly slipped out of sight, taking cover behind the bar the moment things got tense. That's not the move of someone who's shocked by what's happening. That's the move of someone who might have known something was about to go down and made sure to stay out of the way. What's even wilder is what the footage shows. Those guys in the crowd weren't even focused on Big X. Their attention was locked on ZeeTheWizard from the very start. They threw money back towards Z's group in a disrespectful way, but Big X wasn't anywhere near their crosshairs. So how do you explain that? How are two people in the same VIP section, but only one becomes the target? Let's be honest, if you've been around the streets long enough, you start recognizing the signs, and what's showing here looks like textbook setup behavior. You got the main target, Z, you got the one stirring up the situation, those guys in the crowd, and then you got the person who walks away untouched, positioned perfectly out of danger. That alone has people asking serious questions. Witnesses say the crowd got heated fast. The group that started the tension was throwing cash back at Z's people, and others noticed a few unfamiliar faces posted up near the walls, standing still and watching everything unfold. That's what had everyone uneasy. It looked like some people were already in position, like they were waiting for the moment things would pop off. Now, let's break down the timeline, because the small details tell the biggest story. Everything reportedly started around 3:30 a.m. inside the club, and somehow Big X managed to stay completely out of the chaos while his close friend was being targeted by multiple individuals who seemed to know exactly who they came for. Here's the real turning point. Security guards were actually trying to stop Z from heading outside, warning him it wasn't safe. But the big question is, where was Big X during all this? His close friend was about to walk straight into danger, and somehow Big X was nowhere in sight. That doesn't add up at all. A real one would have been right there, either cooling down the tension or making sure his brother didn't walk into trouble alone. Now, for those who might not get how street politics really work, here's something important to understand. When there's tension within a circle, sometimes people try to make it look like outsiders caused the problem. That way it looks random, while the person behind it keeps their image clean. They can act like the grieving friend while their issue disappears without anyone pointing fingers at them. Once the tension moved outside, everything erupted near the left edge of the lot. Z's crew tried to run for cover, but one of them realized Z wasn't beside him anymore. He had already been hit, and that's what slowed everything down. It was total confusion in that moment, and that's where the whole friendly fire story started spreading around. But think about it. If your close friend is getting attacked by multiple people, wouldn't you be right next to him trying to help or get him out of there safely? The leaked video footage shows Z walking toward his car, clearly trying to leave the scene and de-escalate the situation, but sadly, he never got the chance to make it out. When the chaos broke out, everyone's asking the same thing. Where was Big X in the footage? He wasn't helping his friend, wasn't pulling him to safety, and wasn't even visible anywhere near where things were happening. That's some very convenient timing for someone who's supposed to be your day one brother, and that's what's got people online going wild with theories. The way everything unfolded that night just looked too organized to be random drama in a club. There were people clearly positioned in specific spots, others blocking the exits, and someone who seemed to know exactly where the safe zones were. That's not some messy last-minute chaos. That's coordinated movement, like people knew their roles ahead of time. This doesn't look like random club trouble or even a simple misunderstanding gone wrong. It's starting to look like a planned betrayal, and the clues keep stacking higher and higher. Every new piece of info makes the whole thing look more calculated than anyone expected. Now, here's where things get even more interesting. People close to the situation claimed that Big X had been in contact with certain individuals before that night, and those same individuals, they just happened to be at Pink House Dallas, already set up in the right spots when everything went down. That's no small coincidence. According to chatter around the scene, it's being said that Big X might have had more control of that night's events than people think, like he played a role in setting the stage for everything that happened. The deeper you look, the more the story starts to feel less like bad luck and more like a carefully timed betrayal. Big X knew Z would stay loyal and follow him to that club without hesitation. He knew Z had his back no matter what, and that deep trust ended up being used against him in the coldest way imaginable. Witnesses say the main aggressor seemed focused only on ZeeTheWizard, while Z himself clearly sensed danger and tried to keep things peaceful despite the tension rising around him. That doesn't sound like random club drama. That sounds like something that was planned out step by step, the kind of setup where every move feels deliberate, not emotional or spontaneous. But here's where the story gets even wilder. That so-called friendly fire incident that took Z's life, some people believe that was the backup plan all along. Think about it. If those guys in the crowd didn't finish what they started, having someone from Z's own team accidentally hit him would make the perfect cover story. It would explain the tragedy, shift all suspicion away from the real mastermind, and make the entire situation look like a heartbreaking accident instead of something carefully arranged. When you really study situations like this, you start noticing the layers of planning involved. There's the main group causing the chaos, the backup plan waiting in the shadows, the person who takes the blame, and finally, the one who walks away untouched, controlling the story however they want. And looking at how everything unfolded, it's starting to seem like Big X might have set himself up perfectly. The one who escapes, the one who gets to speak on it, the one who can shape the narrative while everyone else is left searching for the truth. Federal investigators are now digging into phone records from that night, and reports say they've uncovered some interesting messages between Big X and a few unidentified contacts just hours before the chaos started. When federal agents start checking phone data in a serious case like this, it usually means they've gathered enough proof to think this wasn't just random trouble, something bigger might have been in play. But here's the question that's got everyone talking. Why would BigXthePlug turn against his own close friend? The answer is both simple and twisted. Jealousy, control, and pride. ZeeTheWizard was on the edge of something huge. He was about to sign with Future's Freebands label, which is a massive deal. We're talking about one of the biggest names in the game taking interest in a Dallas artist ready to rise. But Big X, he reportedly wanted Z under his own label, part of his personal empire. And when Z said no, choosing to follow his own path instead, it created tension that Big X's ego couldn't handle. Z was blowing up fast, getting industry attention and stepping into the spotlight, while Big X was watching that shine shift away from him. They were both repping the same Dallas movement, claiming unity and brotherhood, But behind the scenes, only one of them was getting real momentum with the major labels, and that person wasn't Big X. That difference in success started building silent competition, and according to people close to the situation, things got personal real quick. For those who know how the industry works, this looks like classic music politics turned dark. When someone can't control your success, can't gatekeep your rise, they sometimes try to control your outcome instead. It's that same mindset that's caused so many legendary artists to lose their lives, just on a smaller scale this time. The jealousy was eating Big X up inside because he felt like she was the one who made Z who he was, that he built his success from the ground up. So when Z started catching bigger opportunities that Big X couldn't control or claim credit for, it reportedly hit his pride hard and started growing into deep resentment. People close to both artists say Big X had been throwing subtle shade about Z's deal with Future, making slick comments about whether Z was still loyal to the soil, and even suggesting that he was forgetting his roots. That's manipulation 101, trying to guilt trip someone for chasing success just so you can keep them under your influence. But Z wasn't playing that game. He knew his worth, knew his talent, and he refused to let anyone hold him back from reaching his full potential. That confidence, that independence, is what made him stand out, but it's also what made people around him uneasy. Big X couldn't handle the idea of being left behind while the person he once mentored was climbing higher than ever. Now federal agents are looking into everything, and the details are raising serious questions. Reports mention phone records, camera footage, witness statements, and suspicious financial movements that don't fully line up with Big X's version of events. When investigators start digging this deep into a hip-hop feud, it usually means they believe there's something way more organized going on, maybe even the potential for a conspiracy or organized case behind it all. Pink House Dallas has been fully cooperating with law enforcement, working closely with authorities to make sure every detail from that night is brought to light. That includes handing over footage from all 32 security cameras. And trust, those cameras caught it all. Every movement, every conversation, every strange moment that went down inside the club is now in the hands of investigators. Federal prosecutors are also reviewing Big X's financial activity, looking for any signs of suspicious payments tied to the people who sparked the confrontation. If they discover that any money was exchanged before the incident, that could point toward a planned setup, something far more serious than a random argument gone wrong. Witnesses who were in the VIP area that night also gave statements that don't exactly back up Big X's story. Several people said his behavior seemed off, like he was restless or on edge. He kept checking his phone, scanning the crowd, and then moved away from Z right before the chaos began. That timing alone has people raising serious questions. But the biggest twist? Word around the scene says that the group who started the conflict had been in contact with someone connected to Big X's circle weeks before that night. If that's true, then this wasn't random tension or a misunderstanding. It was planned drama, staged to create a believable reason for everything that followed. And that so-called friendly fire explanation that's been floating around is starting to look more like a cover story, something meant to shift attention away from the real setup. With the kind of evidence stacking up, camera footage, financial trails, and multiple witness accounts, this case is starting to look way deeper than anyone first thought. When you slow the footage down and really study it frame by frame, the timing of that so-called accidental feels way too perfect. It happened right when Z was almost clear of the chaos, just as he was getting close to his car and possible safety. That's what's got investigators taking a much closer look at every second of the tape. Now let's talk about the evidence that truly got the feds locked in, the smoke and gun moment everyone's been whispering about. The video shows Big X's movements all throughout the night, and his positioning during the chaos is raising serious questions. While Z was being targeted, Big X somehow ended up in the safest part of the entire club, far from where things were happening. That doesn't look like loyalty. That looks like perfect timing and self-preservation. If someone really cared about their friend, they'd be right there trying to help him or get him out safely, not ducking away to cover. Reports say Big X allegedly took shelter behind the bar, a spot that kept him completely out of harm's way while chaos unfolded around everyone else. And here's the thing, the cameras don't lie. His movements show someone who seemed to know exactly where to stand and when to move, as if he understood what was coming next. Then after everything went down, the most suspicious detail came up, how he reacted once the noise stopped. Big X's reaction in the footage was way too calm, too controlled, like someone who already knew what was gonna happen. He didn't look shocked, didn't look confused. He looked like a man waiting for confirmation that things had gone exactly as planned. Phone records from that night showed Big X made several calls just minutes after everything happened. But here's what's strange. None of those calls were to 911, Z's family, or anyone you'd expect them to contact in a moment like that. Instead, he was dialing unknown numbers, having short conversations, and then hanging up quickly. That's not how someone acts when they just saw their best friend get hurt. That's how someone acts when they're trying to keep a story straight. Think about how deep that cuts. Your own friend allegedly sets you up, and when the first plan doesn't go so smoothly, the accidental plan kicks in instead. That's the kind of betrayal that's hard to even imagine. It's the kind of backstabbing that would make anyone question who they can trust around them. Federal investigators are now looking at whether this was part of a bigger pattern inside the Dallas rap scene, something that could connect to other strange incidents involving artists and former associates. If they find a link between Big X and any other suspicious activity, this could easily escalate into a federal conspiracy or RICO-style case, something carrying serious long-term consequences. But beyond the legal side, this whole situation highlights something even darker: how jealousy and ego can destroy real loyalty. The story of ZeeTheWizard isn't just about one artist losing his life too soon. It's about how success can twist relationships, turning brothers into rivals and ambition into danger. The Dallas hip-hop scene is in shock right now, because if Big X could allegedly do this to his day-one friend, someone he came up with and constantly showed love to in public, then who can you really trust? When the people closest to you become the ones you have to watch your back around, it shakes the whole culture to its core. Young rappers in Dallas are now forced to question every friendship, every partnership, every handshake, wondering who's real and who's just pretending to be. That kind of mistrust poisons the whole creative space, making it harder for genuine talent to grow. Instead of focusing on music, people start focusing on survival, and that's heartbreaking for a city with so much potential. Meanwhile, things for Big X are only getting more serious by the day. Federal investigations don't just fade away quietly. Once they're in motion, they dig deep. And when investigators have video footage, witness statements, phone logs, and suspicious financial records, that's the kind of combination that leads to heavy federal charges if proven true. We're talking about possible life-changing consequences if they establish a clear plan or organized intent. So it raises the ultimate question: was trying to eliminate a little competition worth risking your freedom, your legacy, and your name forever? Because if these claims hold up, that's exactly what Big X could be facing. For the culture as a whole, this is a massive wake-up call, a reminder of how dangerous envy, power, and ego can be in the music industry. Success should never come at the expense of friendship or loyalty. The streets are buzzing with talk that loyalty ain't what it used to be, and this whole situation just adds fuel to that belief. The feds are reportedly moving carefully, building their case piece by piece, and if this goes to trial, they're coming with everything they've got. As this story keeps unfolding, the Dallas streets are buzzing non-stop, and people are finally starting to connect the dots. Every new detail that drops just makes the situation look messier. And now, even folks who once defended Big X are starting to go quiet. When the evidence piles up like this, silence speaks louder than words. Insiders close to the case say investigators are looking into Big X's recent moves, the shows he canceled, the sudden trips, and the social media posts that mysteriously vanished after the incident. That kind of digital cleanup always raises red flags. Authorities are also tracking bank activity, trying to see if anyone got paid off right before or after the chaos at Pink House Dallas. If they find that money trail, it's gonna be hard for anyone to talk their way out of it. Meanwhile, people who were once proud to be part of Big X's circle are starting to distance themselves, deleting pictures, unfollowing them online, and refusing to speak to reporters. That right there tells a story on its own. Nobody wants to get caught in the middle of something this deep, especially when federal agents are watching every move. But beyond the investigation, this situation is sending a message to the whole industry. Fame without integrity is dangerous. You can have all the money, all the views, and all the fans in the world, but if your name gets tied to something like this, your career might never recover. Dallas is a city full of raw talent, but this scandal's got upcoming artists second-guessing who they call bro. And let's be real, this isn't just about Big X and Z anymore. This is about how jealousy and greed can twist everything good about the grind. People chase fame so hard, they forget what loyalty even means. The same people you help shine might be the ones plotting behind your back. The feds don't play when it comes to cases like this. They've got unlimited resources, patience, and an investigation success rate that's no joke. Big X better hope his legal team is as sharp as his music, because he's gonna need every ounce of help he can get moving forward. This situation is also about to change the whole music industry, especially how internal disputes get handled. Record labels, managers, and artists are all going to have to start putting real security and conflict resolution systems in place, because loyalty alone clearly isn't enough anymore. Nobody wants to see another friendship or career destroyed like this ever again. Now let's talk about it. What do you think about BigXthePlug's alleged role in what happened to ZeeTheWizard? Does the evidence point towards something planned, or do you think it's all just coincidence and wild speculation? Drop your thoughts down below. I want to hear your take on this crazy story. And if you've been following along, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on those notifications, because we're staying on top of every new update as it comes out. There's still a lot more to uncover, and this case is far from over. One thing's for sure, the truth always finds its way to the surface, no matter how long it takes. And judging by what investigators have already uncovered, it's looking like they've got more than enough evidence to keep Big X in some serious legal trouble for a very long time.